Leave 'em on. And welcome to Race Talks Lives Online, right here from Chuck's Bar. Bobby Potts and Bill Gritt with you. Again, joined by Mike Conkwright and Brandon Conkwright. Guys, thanks for making the trip over here. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot, Bill.
It's a little warmer in here, ain't it?
It's a lot warmer in here.
You know, we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's May, and I didn't think it'd be this chilly in May.
Well, you know, it is Kansas. Just give it a break. It'll change, I hope.
Yeah. We went on like a week there. Is in its 80s, and thought, shoot, it's going to be nice, and we're back to this again.
What does this do, Mike? What does this do to you guys trying to prepare a track?
It makes it tough. I'm not going to lie. You know, you want to get out and work on the racetrack and get it closed up right after the event and put it to bed for the week. But it makes it difficult because you want it to have some moisture in it, but not so much that it's oozing out of the wall down the front straightaway.
It's almost kind of like farming. You know, the farmers, they want to have rain. We want rain, and then it gets to be where there's too much rain.
Too much rain.
Yep. And, you know, guys, you play your cards close to your vest. I understand that. Procedure for – I've seen you on the grader at the end of the night on Saturday night when you're done racing. Is that what you do?
Especially later in the year when the moisture is thin. You know, early in the year like this, we know we're probably going to get a couple of rains a week. And so we'll try and get done and be finished as early as we can and try and get a little rest early and be prepared for the rest of the season. You know, we like to hit it on Monday. My dad likes to go up and grade sometimes on Monday, and then we'll crumb it and put it kind of put it to bed and let it set most of the week. Well, with this amount of rain that we've had, you know, all you can do is wait until it's done and jump on the sheep foot and start burning the diesel.
And
last week Brandon was on there for 4 maybe 5 hours. I'm not sure.
And to do this, you guys got to do a little traveling also, because you guys don't live like right there at the racetrack. How far away is it?
It's about 43 miles from our gate to the house, and it's a good thing on the way home to decompress. It really is. It is. And we get to talk about things, and what was good and what was bad and what we need to do to be better. Racetrack wise and people wise and things like that. But when you're on the way up there and there's 110 things you need to be doing, that 45-minute drive sometime is like, it just seems like you're never going to get there.
Especially going home at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, there was a time when I was glad it was that far away because you bailed me out when my truck broke down on the side of the highway. You came and got me going at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I'd like to help anybody anytime I can, that's for sure. But and we appreciate everything you did for us as well, Bill.
Well, but
he's a good guy.
I was a paid employee, and you're 17 miles north of Topeka at Thunder Hill Speedway. Mm-hmm. Just for the people that don't know, and then you're 2 miles back to the east. Right?
Yes, west. 2 miles to the west. Right?
Yeah, west.
Yeah,
1 mile south of the Prairie Band Casino.
Can't go east.
Yeah, well, you never know with me. I probably could, but it's west. I could take you right there.
Right.
How long you had the Speedway?
Be coming up 8 years in August.
Wow, it seems like just yesterday, doesn't it?
Yeah. This is the 7th year racing. We bought it in August and been working on it ever since.
Do you have nights going where you think, why did we ever do this?
No, not really. I've had several people ask me, when are you going to get back in a car? When are you going to get back in a car? And honestly, guys, I had my fun in the car, and as far as promoting and working the racetrack, I get almost as much satisfaction as cutting that good lap as watching my races go off good, knowing that I've helped some of the younger drivers, some of the other guys, be able to fulfill their dream. And when you have a good night and you have a good race and the car count's good and the fan count's great, that's great. And on those nights where you struggle and things are really hard and you got to dig down, and it goes good, and, I'll look at my wife some nights, and she'll look at me, and we go, you got this. And we know it's going to be a hard night. And at the end of the night, there's nobody else I'd rather do it with. And so, the racing days are over for me. My son's racing now. I look forward to helping him whenever I can. I don't help him at the racetrack. He does his own thing, and I look forward to doing that and,
Yeah, on
and working on the
Saturday,
track.
his name is Mike, not Dad. Same with my mom. It's Mike and Pam.
Mike and Pam. Yeah, but he's got Grandpa with him a little bit on Saturdays, doesn't he?
Yeah, Grandpa's there for to talk to, but Brandon's.
Yeah, I know.
I have to give the kid credit. He has decided that he wants to take the reins and run his own program, and I think that's pretty commendable.
Sure.
He really needs to get in tune with his car, and I think that's the best way for him.
So, Brandon, we've had cool nights. Racetracks have been a little bit sticky at nights. Are you waiting for the hot summer nights, or are you liking this?
I do not like tacky racetracks.
You don't?
I will be the first one to tell you.
You're learning the right thing at a young age. I'm glad.
And I'll tell you, there's a lot of reasons why I don't like tacky racetracks. One, it's hard on equipment, motors,
Yep.
anything, and you don't learn to drive in tacky racetrack. All you learn is just, hey, pitch it in the corner and step on it and go. They don't make you a driver. I don't care what anybody tells you. I love dry slick racetracks. Always have. I grew up watching late models and sprint cars my whole life. We didn't see very many muddy racetracks. So,
Dad, you taught him well.
Well, I don't know about that. I think he watched a lot of stuff going on. I don't know how much teaching was going on there, but
Easy in, easy off when it's slick like that. But you know what? I throw all that right out the window when I'm leading, going into turn 4, getting the green flag, and it just poof disappears.
yeah, a lot of that theory's out the window. I know. Been there, done that.
Step back to the racetrack for a minute, Mike, and we've got, as long as you guys want to go on this deal, doesn't matter. But you went IMCA sanctioned almost right off the bat. You decided to go IMCA sanctioning. Been a blessing for you?
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that was the right thing, and we knew. We had a few meetings with the folks from down south, and we could tell right away that there wasn't going to be probably any chance to work together, and we needed to do something different, and we did that, and I think it was the right choice. I have to give my wife a lot of credit for that. I wasn't 100% sure which way we wanted to go. We did know that we had to do something different from what they were doing, and Pam made the big push to really help me get it to go to IMCA, and talked to Dave Brent a couple times, and talked to Brett, and back and forth, and it didn't take but about 1 or 2 phone calls back and forth. And
How hard of a transition was it? The Thunder Hill had always been kind of I don't know what sanction they went under, but the cars were, they had spoilers on them.
It was a USARA sanctioned track 1 year, but basically an outlaw type rule package, Lakeside, Heartland Park, Humboldt type rules.
Did you have a hard time with the guys?
It was a pretty hard sell to a lot of them, yes.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of very loyal racers and followers up there. We really do. They are committed to that racetrack and a certain group of people up there, and they're just wonderful. Couldn't be any better.
That's
And
good.
let's get the logistics of the racetrack out of the way. Thunder Hill's 110 foot wide. Still, you would think you wouldn't rub a whole lot, but it happens.
Oh yeah, it happens. That's why I say that every week in a driver's meeting. How wide's my racetrack? It's 100 feet. Drive everybody like you'd like to be driven, and respect everybody else's equipment. But when it's 3 and 4 wide racing, there's a little rubbing goes on. Everybody wants that one fast spot.
I'm going to put in a little. I'm going to speak for Corey Birch. He wants you to take them big tires off the bottom.
Well, and I understand that, but Corey, them tires have been there since 1994 when they built that racetrack, and that racetrack's 100 foot wide. If you need to use the bottom of it, I understand, but don't go below the tires.
Well, and do you even know why the tires are down there on the bottom? Can you guys tell me why you think the tires are down there?
No.
They're down there so them guys won't race in the infield because there's moisture down there. You don't think I've ever noticed that on a yellow?
They would get down there if they could.
Bill, if I took those tires out, they'd be racing down there by the signboards.
They would.
They'd be right there by your victory lane thing again.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's going to be
exactly
kind of
right.
harder to break that one. But
Now, Mike, you've driven. It's obvious, and I think you were in the neighborhood of some 50-some wins. I think Somewhere around
Somewhere
there.
in there, I don't remember. Never really counted.
As a driver, what do you think of Thunderhill Speedway?
Well, I mean, the very first race we ran that year, we ran it. I was in love with that place. That, we raced Salina, Wichita, Hutch, whatever was around here. Ventured down Lakeside a few times, but the rules package just didn't seem to fit us quite as well. Loved racing there, great group of guys. And the short track in Topeka was also on Sunday nights, and that really, we ran there a few times, just didn't work good, for our time with the shop at that time. And I loved the racetrack. It was huge, big, fast, wide. You could pass, go anywhere and pass, and just always loved the opportunity to get back there and race whenever we could. And
It's not a stop and go track by any means.
no, it is different in the fact that it is very high banked and it's very wide, but it has tight corners. When Roger built the racetrack, they actually came down here and measured Salina, and
Really?
then grew the racetrack. That's the way it was done. Wayne Smith and Roger Call and several other guys. I think Wayne was pretty much instrumental in doing the dirt work there, and I know others were, and I can't remember everybody's name at this point in time, but
Is the track itself actually cut into the hill?
well, no. Yes, it is. I'm sorry. From the top side, the racetrack is in the dirt. It's down from the front straightaway wall out the 100 feet to the edge of the front straightaway. It's 10-foot drop, and from the tops of the walls is where the end. If you look at the end of the wall, that's the end of the racetrack in the center of the corners, and that amount is 30 feet from there to the inside. So it's, I mean, the way they laid it out back then was pretty clever. Unfortunately, I didn't get all the plans and the diagrams and everything when we bought the track, and Roger Call had kept them himself, but unfortunately, somehow or another, I just didn't ever get a chance to get to them before they got disposed of. And
Ouch.
yeah. Well, we did a lot of it off memory, and we had one board there that was tacked up in the office that had a lot of measurements on it, and thank goodness for Roland Matchey. Roland helped us a lot. He was very instrumental that first year of showing us where everything was at, and all the drainage and all the pipes and the well and all the things I had no idea about.
Oh, wow.
Let alone trying to farm a racetrack.
And when I worked for you, there used to be a book in the announcer's stand with all that information in it.
Yes,
how
sir.
wide it is, how long it is, and the distance around.
Still there.
Is it there? That's amazing. Yeah, I'm serious.
Yes.
And you guys work that place really, really hard. I mean, you show up there, the grass is mowed. You can tell that you guys take pride in what you do.
I got to give my son a lot of credit for
There you
that
go,
right there.
Brandon.
Because
Don't give me all the credit. Give your dad the credit.
my dad too, and David. Don't get me wrong. Dad and Dave do a lot of work throughout the week that everybody don't see. And we never liked rolling into a racetrack and seeing a shabby place. I mean, I've been to some places that are just awesome racetracks, and they were lacking in a lot of areas, and that's. I don't want somebody to ever come to our racetrack and say, man, it just looks like crap. They never mow the grass. There's trash all around. And, if mama ain't happy, you ain't going back.
No.
So you can bet our bathroom's as clean as they can possibly be. And if they're not, somebody needs to come and tell somebody. And I think we have some signs all around the concession stands and speedways. If this is not up to standard, you got to let us know. We'll take care of it.
Well,
Exactly.
and a lot of it's got to be, on your race car. Do you like your race car looking terrible?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. I mean, trust me, my dad, it's got to be 100% perfect. Trust me. Trust me when I say 100%.
Attention to detail pays dividends. That's in the details.
Sometimes it's 6 hours on a visor. We've been, you could build in about an hour, and then it folds up the first week and you got in race. But, it is attention to detail. But, I've always liked going into that racetrack, seeing a Thunderhill sign and saying, wow, it's beautiful. And the sun sets, right behind the bleachers.
I've gotten some awesome pictures from when I used to work there, and from when I worked the other side and taking a picture across it. It's an amazing facility, and it shows. It shows that you guys care, and it shows that And when I did work for you, it was for the most part, it was a big family thing. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Bill. And there's nothing better than good old Kansas sunsets.
That's right.
I don't care where you're at in this country. We have some awesome sunsets here.
My guys, Curtis and them, they raced over with you guys whenever they could, and on the nights they couldn't, we'd always come over just to watch, and just because we know we'd see a good show when we got there.
Yeah. And it was when I was working there, it was common, and there's lots of racetracks that have 3 and 4 and 5 wide racing, but
sure,
it was common there, and it was good stuff, and it still is good stuff, and the car counts continue to grow, so that says that you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing, and unfortunately, and we're not going to talk about this a whole lot. Unfortunately, with a racetrack, there are some things that you have to do that aren't desirable. You have to deal with some stuff that isn't that nobody wants to, but you have to handle that as well, because I think if you handle that correctly, it helps build your car count and your fan count.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's probably all we need to say about that. But you guys have done what you had to do. Right.
And that's what we've strived for, is to make it a good family environment, with a lot of fun and a lot of racing, a lot of good racing.
And I don't know. I don't know. You're somewhat handicapped. Well, you're not. Let me rephrase that. And we can't edit this. You don't sell beer there for the fans, but you will let them bring it in.
That's right. We can't sell beer or alcohol on the reservation, but we can allow coolers, and you can bring in your own beverage.
Have some ladies' nights coming up this year when ladies get in free.
Right. We'll have 3 ladies' nights this year. Ladies in free. That usually is a very popular night. I think we're going to have a fan appreciation night, and I'm not sure of the date. Apologize for that.
Well, we'll get your schedule and get that out. And then, of course, we talked earlier, and you've got 3 late model shows this year. 3 or 4?
4.
4. 3 because I missed 1.
3 because Bill won't be the first one.
So, Bill, remember the bet we had last year? If I can beat you.
So you got me one.
I already got you beat on one.
All right. And I owe you that one. Okay, that one. Yeah, I told my daughter I'd do something.
That's right.
And
you're a better man for doing it. Trust me.
Well, I called you, and the conversation we
had.
had.
I appreciate that.
And I wanted that car there because I believe in this series. I do, and I want it to go, and you don't know what it means to me to have you picking up these many shows there, so I'll be at the rest.
Well, we talked to C-Ray quite a bit last year and had a couple of the races, and we thought it would probably be better. I didn't want to alienate anyone, that's for sure.
Sure.
There's some guys still got some open motor stuff out there that can't afford to do a crate deal because they own what they have, and there's a lot of guys that just can't afford the open motor stuff. And, the crate at this point in time seems to be a little better option, and we'd sure like to get the car count built back up in this state and get it going and have some good racing, and we really want everybody to come out and support it. All the cars that can and will be there, we appreciate it and want more, that's for sure. So if you got a car laying around out there somewhere, dig it out. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going. And let's be honest. You drove late models for years. I know you care about that car count.
Yeah, I care about that car count. I care about it a lot. And that was one of the things when we bought Thunderhill Speedway. Everybody said, all right, we're going to have late models back. Well, yeah, we did. We raced late models on occasion. We had some pretty good shows up there. I think real lucky at my first MLRA race, Billy Moyer showed up and won. We had some really tough cars that night. I was really proud of that fact. But to do it weekly, there just weren't enough cars in the area.
You can't do it.
It's a business decision, I know I disappointed a lot of people that way, but to keep the Speedway viable and open, that's what we needed to do. And, you got to work on that weekly show. We're still not there. We're nowhere near where I want to be. I would like to be done at 9:45. Have pictures done at 10 o'clock and be out of there. We've hit it a few nights, but
typically it's 10:30. You're pretty close.
Yeah, we're 10:30. I don't know. I'm stuck about not getting started quite right on time, and but boy, once we get that show rolling, it rolls.
It goes.
It goes good.
Yeah.
And I've had the privilege, and pretty soon we're going to start talking to Brandon about his racing, but I've had the privilege of working for Mike and Pam, and I know some of the things that go on and how they care about their program. I mean, I stood in the tower one night when the rain started coming. We had cars on the track, and you had to call the show because once that rain hits the racetrack, you can't work it out. I mean, not like that.
It kills you.
Unless you're Booney, you got a jet dryer. that is cool though.
Yep.
And so they've had to make the tough decision, but you got to do what you got to do.
I got the opportunity to do the Victory Lane interviews, and it was a great time. You guys got a great bunch of racers over there, and they're always fun to talk to afterwards.
Yeah, they are, and I appreciate that, Bob. And anytime you want to come down and take my place for that, you're more than welcome.
I think what he's saying, it was a little hard Saturday night interviewing Matt Haid.
No, it wasn't. He put a good old butt whipping on you. So
Do we need to remind what happened at Dodge City about 7 years ago?
Matt's kind of
we're good.
quiet too. He don't talk much, if I remember right.
No, Matt doesn't talk a whole
Yeah,
lot,
you
but he was pretty happy when he got out of the car. That's for
Now
sure.
wait a minute. Matt won't talk a whole lot when you stick the microphone in front of him,
Okay.
but he
Afterwards,
will talk.
he
Yeah.
will talk. Huh? Yeah, I remember Matt.
Matt's a
He
good
didn't-
guy and a great racer, and Brandon, you're going to get your fair share of wins. I don't doubt it a bit.
Yeah, they're going to come, It's just one of those things, you got to stay consistent. Last year I told you guys when I came on here after my first race, I wasn't worried about points, even though I was. I led points for 8 weeks, and then it kind of just dwindled. I've been at Heartland Park, and I'm leading points at Heartland. But
So, what do you think of that racetrack?
I'll tell you what, and maybe Dad's going to look at me a little weird here, and it's nothing about Heartland Park. I don't honestly like big racetracks for just the fact of I like racing, and I'm not saying you don't race close at Thunder Hill. To be honest, the track I'd rather race at every week would be like Hayes. You know what I mean? And I love Hayes.
I've never raced on Hayes, but I'm going to this summer.
And I'll tell you what, it is fun, and I love that racetrack. And I'm not saying I don't love Thunder Hill because I do. I've grown up there week after week after week watching him race. I love that racetrack. But, when you get to venture out to Dodge City, Hayes, Goodland, anywhere you can get and go out and go, it's something fun.
Yeah, and it's also a little bit different for him when he's racing at home. He's got a lot of eyes on him and can't make, try not to make any contact or anything like that.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it
it's gotta
can
be tough.
become somewhat judgmental, and
Sure.
he's just another racer. That's all there is. Matter of fact,
And
you
you-
can ask him about his heat race start there Saturday night.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there ain't no favoritism at that racetrack.
Did you get in trouble?
Yeah. Well, I'll just
What
put it
happened?
this way.
What
I'll
happened?
just tell you what happened. I started on a pole my heat race.
Okay.
Had Marvin Griffith right next to me, Joe Sawyers, Steve Corning, Matt Haid, and Matt, I think his name was Matt Blessing from Manhattan. And rolling around out of turn 3 in the middle of 3 and 4, I took off. Marvin did not take off. I took off, yellow flag, come out, say 24, see you there. So,
Really?
yep.
Oh, really? You make that call, don't you?
Well, no, my Lance stand. Lance, he's
Uh-huh.
down there at the tire, and between him and Dan, I let my guys do their work.
And I got to look at it both ways because I've
Sure.
been an official before. I didn't know. Trust me, I black flag people. I black flag the guys I race against. I've done both, so I got to sit there and think, okay, now why is it this way? And then I have to think of it. Okay, was it fair? And it was. Me and Dad kind of talked over it like a promoter and a racer would. But it's over with, so can't do nothing about it now.
Got to be side by side.
Nose to tail.
Yep.
2 weeks ago, I was over there. Jesse Levine did the same thing in the heat race. He was running third or fourth. Anyway, passed car before the cone on the restart, and he got
Right.
put to the back. He made a comment, well, I wish they'd at least gave me a warning. Well, no warning. You did it.
There was a warning in the driver's meeting. I say it every week.
Yep. Yep.
Don't jump to start.
Yep.
When you're going down a back straightaway, my ladies tell you, The lights are out.
Stay
Nose
single.
to tail, side by
Stay
side. Do not pass before the cone.
Yep.
Every race we do that.
Yep.
You know.
So
You know, and I wonder what would actually help them drivers like me, you know, because, you know, I'm colorblind. I don't see lights. You know, Bill, you're colorblind.
I don't.
You know exactly how that is. I wondered if we did it kind of like the USMTS boys or the World of Outlaw boys would do, you know, get a chalk line out there and put it across the racetrack. Because I'm going to tell you what, I can't see the cone. So I just take off whenever, you know, I can.
You know what? That chalk line's the same as that cone. Somebody's going to be knee deep in the throttle before they get there.
You're
We're
right.
racers.
That's
It's what we
exactly
do.
right. That's what we do. We push the envelope. You know?
I mean, it's a great idea. I
I
can see
got
the
my
chalk
guys
line.
standing there to watch them.
I can see the chalk line before I can see the flag or anything like that
Yeah,
because it's white.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what, I was down at Heartland Park a couple weeks ago, and, you know, they had a no start. We went green, and they just threw the yellow. I threw the yellow on the front stretch, and we come back around because they had a wreck in turn one, and I'm, you know, following this car, and she stops.
Yep.
Well, why are we stopping? So I hit the brakes real hard, and I, you know, was like, well, are we red or something? Why are we stopping? Well, it turned out we were red, and I didn't know it. And I was sitting there like, holy moly, I did not even know.
Do they not? They don't use receivers there yet.
They do, and in that time they did not have receivers in that week because it was their first week racing.
You know what, Mike? I never raced with a receiver before. I kind of miss it without it now if I don't have it. My
right.
battery goes dead in mine. I can put a new battery in it. Maybe I got a bad one. I don't know, but my battery will go dead in the night, and I'll lose it during the A feature if I don't.
Sure. Good thing to get in the habit of doing is don't put the battery in until you get in the car, and the minute you get out, take your helmet off, just pop the battery out of it sideways.
Okay.
You know, that's a good habit for guys to get into.
you know, you guys talking about being colorblind. Have you run into any issues with Austin Charles not being able to hear?
Right. Austin couldn't hear receivers. He is deaf. He's got cochlear implants.
Yep.
And so he set his helmet to RH2. Seen him up at Boone. Gino was there last year, and we got a couple other guys that did it this year. And he put the speakers in his helmet, and now he can hear us. He just loves
Cool.
it. He was so excited when he got to hear the receiver the first time.
Good.
It was just
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah, that speaker deal. I know Curtis and Brian nailed the guys.
they did
I
it.
helped.
Mhm.
They got.
I wish they would have
they've
had
got
it when
the
I was
speakers.
racing. We just plugged them in, you know, and
Yeah.
I used to put tape over my ears.
Yeah.
Because they were always falling out.
Brian's so paranoid about being able to wear he's worn earplugs for so long, you know, and then when the receivers come along, well, then you couldn't wear your earplugs, and the speakers didn't really block out the noise like he liked. Well, then he got the speakers in his helmet, and now he's able to wear the earplugs and back and able to hear. And yeah, he said he'd never do it.
Everybody
any
I've
other way.
talked to said they like it.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean,
yeah.
I tell you what, as long as, you know, you putting the earbuds in, then pulling your helmet over, well, sometimes they pop out, so you got to
Yep.
pull your helmet back off.
Yep.
You know, there's a little wire right here, click it up, hook it up to your helmet, hook up to your belts. It's the best way to have it.
Good to go.
Yeah, I'm still fighting with the earbuds. I need a new helmet, but you know, when to Bobby's question, you know, the first few nights that Austin or Charles raced for you, getting him back into lineups was difficult.
It was a little bit, and we had talked with him and Tom a little bit beforehand, and our front straightaway guy, Lance Swain, been there forever. Great guy. You know, Lance was there and give him some hand signals when to move forward or move back, and he did a good job. We got it done
Good. Good.
very well.
So
I think this question's for you.
Okay.
we talked earlier. You actually have to work the racetrack Saturday mornings before you can go play,
Oh, yeah.
and you go up with Dad at whenever that is in the mornings.
Sometimes it can be 6 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it can be 7:30. It just depends, you know. If we have a lot to do, we got to get up there early. And trust me, there's been nights where we've been working on the race car because I broke stuff last weekend, and we were still in that race car shop at 12 o'clock to turn around and get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get up back up to the racetrack.
You, I hope this is public knowledge, but you own your own house now.
Yeah, yes, I do.
Got a pretty decent job.
Yep.
Is it hard for you to juggle all these activities?
I wouldn't say it's hard or difficult, you know. you know, I have 2 programs. I got my racing program that I take very seriously, and I got the racetrack that I take very seriously. And then my house and everything else is serious, but, you know, race car, racetrack, job, house payment, and juggling all that between my girlfriend, Ryan, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love it the way it is. You know, there's not I don't go home till 8:30, 9 o'clock some nights. But, you know, I'd rather do that than sit on the couch and watch TV.
Sure.
I mean, I'm in the race car shop till sometimes 8, 9, sometimes 11:30, 12 o'clock. Turn around to go to work the next day to get back to the race car shop. That's my life. That's what I do. That's what I did when I was going through school with him.
Hopefully you don't have to stay in the shop late. I hate them nights.
Well,
Anymore. I mean, it's fun working on a car and being together and everything, but boy, them late nights, they just wear on you
Well,
after a while.
here's
So
a perfect
you want to keep
example.
the car together and everything good.
Friday
Yeah.
night, you know, I got off work at 4 o'clock, got there, and I looked at I already had the stock car done. Stock car was already in the trailer, and Dad looks at me and goes, "Are you wanting to hot lap this late model?" And I go, "Yeah, I mean, how long you got to work?" 3 hours. All right, sounds good. He goes, "Bust these tires and put them on the bead, and let's get ready to put it on the scales." I said, "Okay." 8:30 rolls around. I got tires staggered and everything, and he's still messing with the carburetor. He goes, "Well, we got about another hour." 3 hours, 11 o'clock. We're still screwing with the carburetor, trying to get it all figured out. Well, about
Just wasn't right.
1:30, we get it off the scales and roll out of the shop and get out of there about 2:15. Well,
Oh.
yeah.
Late
Well,
night,
you got to
let me tell
remember,
you.
we got to go
Yeah.
to work the next day. So we get it in the trailer and night, you know, me and him, we don't ride together no more because, you know, we don't live in the same house, sadly. I think he kind of likes it that way sometimes. But but, you know, the cool thing is me and him live right across from each other. We're that close. We're 350 yards or something like that. I'm sure he's measured it a couple times as much as he measures his racetrack.
Yeah.
But, you know, the way it is, I wouldn't have it any other way.
247, by the way.
He knows. He knows. He knew. You know, Mike, you've been at this game a long time. You've raced at a lot of racetracks. It's an adrenaline-filled sport. Sometimes we do things that we wouldn't normally do anywhere else. Does that ever concern you with him behind the wheel? If he was to get out and be mad and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that.
Trust me,
Got
there's
it.
been a couple times that I have.
There's been a few times that, and it's natural. It's going to happen being the competitive, driven type people that
Yeah, we are.
in motorsports as in racers. And
'Cause-
now I have to look at it from the promoter side because that's just the hat that I have
It all
on
goes
now.
back to what he said earlier about there's always eyes watching me. I am the standard for Thunder Hill Speedway.
Well, and the
Well,
reason...
and other places
Yes,
as well.
you're right.
As well. And the reason for that question is I watched your mom, and she's not here, and she's going to hate me for this. I watched your mom dance across a couple race cars one night because things didn't quite go like they should have.
Bill,
Boy, you're going to pay for that one.
Bill, you better not come.
But
for
it's
the next
true.
3 late models.
You're right. No. And it happens.
It
happens all
It-
the time.
I've done it.
It is a highly emotional sport.
I've done it, and I thought, wow. And I've tried to refrain from that stuff these days. But I mean, we had Bobby. I saw you deliver a tire and a set of headers to somebody one night.
I know.
Yeah, it happened.
It happens.
Wait, Dad, what about you? Salina?
Well, there's been a lot of things, different places, but it comes back to the desire and the competitive spirit. I mean, emotions sometimes take over.
Yep.
And it's true in most
do.
sporting events. Competitive people get jacked up. They get going. When things don't work right, there's some tempers.
Yep.
There's some hard feelings sometimes. But what's great about this sport is the next week you can drop it. You can go back to racing. They need a tire. They need a gear. You loan the guy something. You race against him. You race hard. You race clean. And, it comes back around.
Here's
you,
what's-
you may need that same thing a month from now.
Here's what's changed. We never had any. Well, your brother yelled at me one night, but we never had any issues.
Nope.
But and if we did, I would think that we would be able to talk about it throughout the week and figure it out.
Sure.
The problem we have these days is the internet, and then it takes over and it blows it all out of proportion. If we let the drivers settle whatever they may have, sometimes it'll work itself out.
Well, that's right. And I've always told everybody that to a degree this has been self-policing. It needs to be. Let the guys take care of it. Now, I don't mean take care of it with fists,
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not the way. And like I say, tempers and emotions overcome things sometimes. But, if you can give it, I always tell everybody in the driver's meeting,
Don't go
if
there
you
tonight.
don't run over to a guy's pit just right now. Let it cool down a little bit. Don't go running over there because you might not get the reaction that you want. Or it may be the reaction that you're looking for. But you had better be ready for it, So, you've got to watch that as well.
And these days, everybody's got one of these. It's got a camera in it. It's got a video recorder in it. And pretty soon, you're getting a vacation from IMCA if you're racing under an IMCA sanctioned track.
Well, you might not even have a vacation from IMCA. You might have a vacation for life for a while. It's not like 30 years ago. You guys. I don't know. I wasn't around, so.
But I think you can attest to this, Brandon. You race with a pretty decent group of guys. I mean,
They're
and they
awesome.
would help you out.
Yes.
And, but again, it's racing, and sometimes a fender's going to rub against somebody. And
it all goes back to knowing who you're racing against. That's what it is. One guy, he's going to either rub on me. This guy's not going to rub on me. This guy's going to run me off the racetrack. It's just one of those things. The guys up there, they've raced with each other for a long time. And that first year when I jumped in there, it was a tough year for them.
I was there that year.
I'm not going to say they didn't want to help me, but they helped me and turned me the wrong way, if you understand what I'm saying. They gave me advice, but it wasn't always the right advice. And that's okay, because you know what? I learned from that to trust nobody but myself. And, I don't ask for help unless I really need it, like from my grandfather. But most of the time, I just study my own stuff and go from there.
That's the best way to learn.
Yep.
Learn from your own mistakes, huh?
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to learn something every night,
Yep.
Those are the ones you remember the longest.
Exactly.
Sometimes the hard lessons are the ones that stick with you,
Yeah.
That's for sure. So I think I just want to hit on this real close. We talked a little bit about Heartland being sanctioned IMCA, and we have Atchison to the north, and I think it's a pretty good thing that finally we got to work, with another racetrack in the area. Larry runs into pits and is the promoter of Heartland Park now. Still works for me. He's our announcer, and it's good to be able to work with them guys and get this deal to where we're not on top of each other. We're sharing cars. We're sharing some information, kind of helping each other back and forth. And I think it will grow the car count, and I think it will be nothing but a very positive thing for the eastern part of the country.
Well, and I know Salina's on this edge. You don't. Yeah, you get some stock cars. Sometimes you get some of the guys from out west. Just depends on what you got. You've got a good stock car count, though. But I think this IMCA thing is you got Salina, you've got Heartland Park, and Atchison just kind of win IMCA, but not 100%.
How far is
they're in transition
Atchison
years
from you guys anyway?
It's about 50 or 55 miles, I think.
Okay.
Just pretty close to
I'm
that.
gonna have to make it
So
there
not
sometime.
terrible from the racetrack.
I've never
I mean,
been
I wish
there.
I could do some Friday night stuff, but honestly, guys, what few nights that I'm not at the track working, either trying to get him ready or, I'm still up there working. And that's 90% of the time.
And some of the nights that we get, off, it's time to spend time with family, kind of rewind,
And that's something your dad told me, and I did call him on Sundays every once in a while, but Sunday's kind of his day and your family day to do your things, And the only time I called you on a Sunday was when I was working for you and had a couple questions and stuff. But, I mean, it's hard. I mean, you guys have a full-time job. He has a full-time job.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
your wife's got several full-time jobs.
That's right. 3, she'll tell you.
And so, you got to take that day, and but I see you run down at Heartland Park now on Sundays, and I think that's good. I think not I think that'll help you as a driver to race a couple different tracks.
Yeah, and we've always thought about going, as when we can to go out and race other racetracks. And that was always my dream. When we used to go racing, we left Friday at noon, and we were going Wichita, or we were going to Salina, or we were going somewhere on Friday night to go racing. Then Saturday night we're racing somewhere else. Then Sunday night we're racing somewhere else. So when I was about 8 to about 12, I lived on the road with him.
I'm sure.
And that's the way I'd like to be. But reality comes back. You got a full-time job, you got a mortgage payment.
So now that you're tinkering with the late model a little bit, you plan on maybe going to a couple other shows out of town, maybe?
Yes, of right now we have a couple more scheduled other than our racetrack. We're going to try and make it to Wichita a couple times. I've been trying to get out there. Last year I just wasn't thinking right, and we didn't go. And then I'd really like to hit Belleville once, but that's going to be the car owner's decision there.
I think that's on a Saturday night.
Is it a Saturday night?
I think so. I'd have to check, but I believe that's a Saturday night. There's going to be a little conflict there.
Not going to let the kid go by himself to Belleville?
No.
No.
He'll be running his car at our place, I'm sure. No, there's a few other places we'd like to go. Sam's really working on me hard to get up to Deschler on Friday night, and boy, I don't know. It just depends on that workload. If we got everything, the stars aligned perfect, we'll make it.
Yep.
And he always looks at me on that Monday morning, and he just gives me that, are you really going to work really hard this week so you can go racing 2 nights? Well, yeah, I guess. He's like, how many hours are you prepared to put in this week? Well, okay, I put probably about 90 in now. How much more do I need to put? He goes, you need to put another 30 on that. Okay.
Well,
it ain't that bad, but
And this question's going to put you on the spot, Mike, simply because of who you are and where you're at now. But when you were racing, did you have a favorite track?
I really like Thunderhill Speedway. I really, really, really like Salina High Banks, Salina, Oklahoma.
And the Hutch Fairgrounds, was it?
No, not like you would think though. I do kind of like that place. I miss racing there. I really do.
Flat.
I like Wichita, and I like Salina Speedway.
Yeah,
I've always liked Salina. I raced a lot at Salina.
You did?
That's where your brother yelled at me the most.
Well, can't do anything about that, but I'd really have to say that honestly, that's why we have Thunderhill. That up to that point, Salina was probably my favorite, and when they built Thunderhill, that took it. There was a little place out in West Oklahoma called Clinton Speedway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was it's a high-speed, high-bank joint, and wasn't as long as Thunderhill, but or quite as wide. But it was a lot of fun to race on, and just those kind of tracks I really seem to like.
I remember the first time I laid eyes on Thunderhill Speedway when I wasn't even in a race car, and I was like, oh my, this baby could be fast. And it was at a driver's meeting late one night, and the previous ownership used to have those drivers meetings, rules meetings, which I think are really a waste of time because everybody's got their own agenda. But that's my own personal opinion. And he turned the lights on so I could take a look at it because I told him, I ain't never seen this place. And I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, it was quite an awe-inspiring moment when the first time I seen it. That's for sure. I'm like, look at that red clay. Oh, my, look at them banks.
And I'm going to tell you, you were just saying it was how fast it's going to be. 4-time MLRA champ Al Perkey was there one night, and he come in there, and he goes, you need to slow that thing down. It is way too fast. Well, and if you know me, I love going fast. I want to go as fast as I can, but I didn't know how to drive that big motor I had it into the last time, so.
Took me forever to learn to not really use so much brakes getting in the corner there. I mean, it took a long time, and because you don't use them a whole bunch there. Just gotta. Steve Foster used to tell me you gotta let the car roll in the corner, Bill. Okay.
Yeah, Steve had a lot of success up there.
Oh,
it's kind of deceiving too, because it almost looks like you really have to cramp the brakes to turn the car, but you don't.
Mm-mm.
You just really gotta roll her in there, or either throw it in hard sometimes.
So you always have the little whoop-de-doo going into 3 and into 4. How do you get around that?
I'm going to tell you this just like I tell everybody there. That hole's there. It's been there for I don't know how many years, 5 years. There's this
30?
thing
No.
about
Yep.
going either below it, above it, or
it.
through it.
Yep.
You know, people are going to complain about racetracks being rough, but
it's not
that's
rough. It's just,
well,
It's not rough.
Some of them guys up there, you know.
Oh, it can be. I mean, there's nights when it's.
Well,
I look at
yeah,
that and
but-
I'm like, oh man.
Well, and see, but he's
You know-
not in a race car anymore, so from what he thinks, it looks rough, but it's really not.
it's not.
You know, something I learned working for him is if we don't like the show, nobody else is going to like the show.
That's true.
And he tries pretty hard to put on a good show. He does. But, I mean,
I've been to a lot of races, you know, through the Midwest, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, Missouri, Nebraska. You know, unless you got a big touring series, I'm not just saying this because he's my dad. He probably puts on one of the best shows.
what is that little whoop-to-do caused by? Do you have any idea?
Well, the one in turn 3, there's a spring there.
Ah, that's right.
Still
That's
there.
right.
It was-
Still there.
It was in the racetrack when they originally built it, and I have video of when Wayne and the guys tried to fix that. They had 2 big track hoses, and they went down about 20 feet and put a French drain in all the way across, and it starts about. The spring starts somewhere up by the grandstands in the pit area, and it's pretty much in line with the racetrack there, just a little bit maybe north of it, and it runs all the way down to the center drain in the infield, right in the
Really?
center of the infield.
Wow.
And they put 4 feet of gravel down and a bunch of tubes, and then a couple more feet of gravel, and then laid it back in clay. Well, it's always had a depression there.
Yeah.
About the time, you know, turn 1 has always had a little bit, and then the problem there, the sun is always on the back side of it, so it's a little bit in the shade. It always takes a little less water there, or it should. And so, you know, it seems that when we bought the track, we knew there was a problem. It was really bleeding a lot there. We've since put in 2 wells on the front straightaway to pump out, but we put a Y French drain from about the stoplight on the front straightaway wall around about 30 foot that way and about 30 foot from the middle of turn 1 back, and then Frenched it all the way down to the drain there in the center of the racetrack on turn 1 and 2. And ever since we've done that, it's dried up behind it. Well, what it did was it chased it. So now we've got a soft spot just on the end of it.
Okay.
So that's the depression there.
And
In drier years, it's not there at all.
not
When
there.
you have these wet years that we've had the last 2 years, it's a lot more pronounced.
and
And that drain runs constantly.
it doesn't help now that the cars being the way they are. I mean, they're running a lot softer springs. I mean,
Oh, right. And
frames-
then, you know, I mean,
the
those
frame
guys,
rails are
they run
digging
through
in.
it right there because, unfortunately, that is the fast part of the corner.
exactly.
And,
Turning
you know,
in there.
some guys really complain when they get their right rear in there. And, you know, they've had some doors. I know last week a guy kind of lost his door on the right side running second there. And,
yeah.
you know, it just caved it under. And, the only thing I could say was, look, you know, it's 100 foot wide.
You can
Go a
find
little
different
below
spot.
it or a little above it, or, you know, hang the left rear in it and help it turn you. There's plenty of racetrack there.
But there's moisture there.
Exactly.
That's what we're looking for.
And I got to hit it with the right rear every lap.
I'll tell you what, I hit that rut every time, but I don't hit it with the right side of the race car. I hit it with the left side of the race car.
Okay.
So, you know, when these guys are running into the rut every week, you know, they know it's there. I find it in the heat race with my right side just so I know where it's at. And after that, I'm golden. You know, I know where it's at, so then I can go in the car, bring it into the corner higher, and then drive off that. But I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit different driver than most people. Maybe they like running into it, or maybe they just don't know it's there sometimes and they forget about it. Bam, there it is.
Sometimes when there's cars around, you don't have a choice.
That's right.
You got to go
There,
through it.
yeah,
You know,
that's
you got to
what you're
make the
gonna-
best of
You're a
the
couple wide
situation.
or whatever,
and-
you're going to have to go through it.
Right, and all I can say is that it's the same for everybody. You know, sometimes I like to have a rough, mudded up racetrack over a slick one lane. You know, well, but I can't say that ours has really ever been slick in one lane that I know of. I
No,
know there was a daytime race that we had
I was going to say I
one
never
year, and
can-
it was almost that. Oh, boy, I hated that.
I never can remember that. Yeah.
But that racetrack was still fun though. And see, when I was practicing, when I was learning how to drive,
Hold that up.
When I was learning how to drive,
Yeah.
I used to practice after, like on a Sunday, after all the races. I didn't get to practice on a good racetrack. So I got used to driving them nasty, nasty things.
Well, that's what you're going to have.
Oh,
he had
yeah?
to pick up trash before he got to practice.
You know,
You had
and
to work before you got to play, huh?
I told you I wasn't kidding.
so you drive home after the races and then drive back Sunday and
Sure.
and do and
Yeah,
wow.
take care of the business.
And you know, Mike, let's talk about that for a minute. And I don't know, again, if this is public knowledge, you can correct me if you want. There are times when you're up there, and if people get a hold of you, you'll take a new driver out there and let him learn your racetrack.
Yeah, we've done that in the past, and would actually have a couple opportunities here coming up pretty soon to help some guys and let them get some time on a track. Yeah,
I mean, you like to let guys on your track practice a little bit on a Sunday if you're there.
Right.
Sunday is your family day, but if you're there, you like to let them practice a little bit before you turn them loose. Is that
yeah,
right?
oh yeah. We've had several young kids come up, and we spent an afternoon with them up at the track and just got them, acquainted with pedals and feel and steering wheel and reaction and.
Yes, I know you're
I was
looking
just
at
gonna
me.
say, Well,
You're looking at me.
I'm embarrassed
Why?
because this is like a 100-lap race, and I got to make a pit stop really, really bad.
It's getting about that time, huh?
Well, we're not going to stop for you, so go. Okay, you.
I think Bob just went 10-100.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's a first, fans. I mean, well, we are a little bit over that. Well, no, we're not quite to the hour mark yet. And again, we know you got to drive home, so we're not going to keep you too terrible long. Glad that you guys could make this. We're, this is always a good time, and Dave Cheveria produces this for us, and it's good. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to come up and talk with you guys and get everybody back to some information about Thunder Hill and,
Yeah.
and coming out and enjoying the races. And you got to support your local tracks throughout the country. That's what it takes.
Well, we touched about that a little bit earlier. This the internet I think the internet can kill our sport if we're not careful. It is fueled with adrenaline. The guys that drive these things, there gets to be an attitude every once in a while, and it's not meant to be detrimental. It's just the way that it is.
That's right. We know that it's just the way that it is, and as long as they conduct themselves in somewhat of a civilized manner, we don't have a problem with criticisms. I've always told everybody at my shop and everywhere else, if you have a problem and I don't know about it, and you just happen to go away mad, there's no chance I have to fix it.
Right.
So I need feedback. I need to know about it. I'll take constructive criticism. I'm not going to stand there and listen to a guy yell and scream at me or anybody else, and nobody would expect it, to. But the internet thing can be and is a good thing, and it can also be a detriment. There's just certain ways of handling it. I don't think that we have any foolproof way or anything like that, but we seem to be able to manage it. We always try and get out there and get ahead of things and, talk to the individuals and see what we need to do to rectify the situation. And if not, sometimes you just have to part company.
Yeah. And he made it back, so we're good.
Wow.
Better now.
Oh, boy.
And add to that deal where you guys are talking about the internet, Sunday night I think I got on Facebook, or actually it was Twitter. I'm sorry, it was Twitter. And I was looking on there, and I scrolled down. I saw Kenny Wallace. Have you guys seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Kenny Wallace standing on the racetrack with the hands up in the air. Well, I've always been a Kenny Wallace fan, but, where he rode in there, I was running second, car flipped, caught on fire. It was a terribly rough racetrack. Okay, why do you have to put that in there? And that goes back to that whole internet kind of dwindling racetracks, And then he's talking bad about the rear end parts and the stubs and all that, And, you would think you would want to hold him up to a higher standard, but maybe he's just like me and you.
I'll be honest with you. That kind of caught me off guard from him, too.
Yeah.
It really did. I don't know if you've seen it or not. I don't have a Twitter account. I'm not getting one. I've got my hands full with what I got, so y'all can be thankful there. But I did see it, and it did kind of catch me off guard. I don't know how to take it. I really don't. I have questioned some things about him in the past. Who am I? You know what I mean? But I didn't care for his language, and I darn sure didn't care for what some of the things that he said.
Yeah, it happens.
I
Just
missed out on the cover. I was busy.
We'll have to show it to you after this.
Okay.
Do what? Say
I
it
missed
again.
out on. I missed out on part of that.
He was talking about Kenny Wallace's flip and his modified at some racetrack. I can't remember. He named it as well.
Oh,
And it
because
was-
the track was rough.
the track was really rough, and then he showed the studs that broke, and again they were made outside of our country. They were made in China somewhere. I guess you got to, our good friend.
Everybody was running on the same racetrack he was.
Exactly. Things happen.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everybody's got to,
and that was one thing, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
I do want to interject one little thing here. It's just kind of like Saturday, at the racetrack. It rained all week, and it was pretty soft. And I knew the moisture was going to come back up, and I knew it was going to have some soft spots and be rough in a few places. But when the sun comes out on Saturday, and it's 62 or 3 or 4 degrees, whatever it is, and the wind's blowing, and you don't race, it doesn't look good, and nobody likes it, and they all want to talk bad about you. But when that racetrack is a sopping, wet, ringing mess, and you work your butt off to get that show in, and then somebody does what happened there in that instance, I'm sure that racetrack probably had a lot of rain,
Yep.
yeah.
and you get some tore up parts and stuff. So,
Yep.
It's darned if you do, darned if you don't
Yep.
kind of a situation. But I think most of the racers understand that, hey, the weather we've had hasn't been real good,
Yeah. Now, obviously, he made the choice to go out there.
That's right.
I mean, he could have hooked the winch on and pulled her in the trailer and not ran, but he made the choice to go out there. So,
Well,
10-4, and he probably got paid to show up.
yeah.
I'm
And-
sure.
And let's go back to his studs. Our good friend, and he's not going to, Dave Brin, his favorite saying, know what you own.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to know. You're learning, still learning what you have in that car and what you don't have. And I mean, it's amazing what you learn by just working on your car by yourself for a while or whatever, just putting in the effort and the time.
Yep, and I'm not going to say he doesn't help me all the
Oh.
time, but he makes me do it so I know it.
Sure. It's the best way to learn. But,
Sure.
yeah, he needed to know what he had. He knew, if he didn't build that car, and he probably didn't, somebody knew what was in there.
I don't make Brian work on the car.
I don't think Brian even washes his car.
It's all Bob, isn't it?
Yeah. When he's out riding his little motorcycle in the wheat field pulling rye, that's my favorite time because I get time to myself.
You ever at the racetrack and he's not real happy with the way the car's working or doing anything? Do you ever just tell him to go to the hot dog stand?
Tell him do what?
Do you ever just tell him to go to the hot dog stand instead of messing with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I make him leave.
Yeah, we can't get
Yeah.
hamburgers
You
at
go
Thunder Hill, so we
away
had to get
and-
hot dogs.
Yeah.
You said that, young man. I wasn't going to go there.
I had to. I'm sorry. I had it all set up.
Uh-huh. Wendy's still here?
Yeah, there.
She's here somewhere.
I see
Yeah.
Gary. Wendy's still here. Oh,
See
boy.
Jessica.
Mom is still here.
Mama's
so-
still here,
Yeah.
and she was wanting some hamburgers.
Oh,
Oh.
boy.
Wow. I'm glad you guys did that. I'm out of this deal.
Oh, this will make an interesting ride home.
Yeah. Phone will be ringing before you leave the parking lot.
I can't
my
believe
phone's
it ain't
ringing
ringing
now.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear it buzzing.
Gentlemen, we really appreciate you coming over. We know it's an hour. Well, it depends on how you drive. I've rode with you, Mike, so it probably took you about 30 minutes to get here.
Longer than that.
Appreciate you coming over, both of you. Brandon, you've come a long ways as a driver. You're doing really well. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Bill.
Mike.
Get off them second place finishes.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Hey, well, I'm gonna.
Hey, you
try
know,
and-
once you get your first one, then the rest of them come real easy.
Oh yeah, well I've been sitting on the first one for a year, so maybe we can get one in the late model and a stock car Saturday.
Oh boy!
Ooh, there you go.
That'd be something.
There you go.
Yeah,
I like
I'll
to
be-
dream a little
We're
bit.
gonna be over to watch. We're gonna be over to watch that. I'll
Good.
be wearing my Brandon Conkwright shirt,
Alrighty.
and yep. What?
Let me. I was thinking I got a shirt tonight. I was wondering what I did with it, but I
Oh.
think I put it in my car when we put the radio equipment back.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, thanks. Again, I'm going to miss this one, but I promised my daughter something, and
And I'm proud of you for doing that. Way to go.
It's not, it's not been an easy thing for me, but yeah, I'm going to spend some time with her Saturday.
Good.
But I'll
I'm
be
glad,
there.
Glad to hear that.
I'll be there the rest of the shows. I guarantee you, I'll be there. Look, because but anyhow,
Hey.
thank you.
I gotta give a big shout out. If anybody ever goes to Thunder Hill Speedway, they got the best iced tea you'll ever drink. I'm serious.
Well, I appreciate that, Bob. Thank you.
Since they started this, I thought it was the cheeseburgers.
I think the hot dogs are the best.
No, it's the iced tea.
It's the iced tea.
That's
Yeah.
a good recovery there.
Yeah.
We don't have hot or cheeseburgers or hamburgers, but we have the best hot dogs. So
Well, guys, I appreciate you asking
Thank
us to
you.
come down
Sure.
and doing everything. Just want to have everybody, give them a shout out and say, hey, and if you can make it out to the late model race, we'd love to have you. And if you got any cars out there, drag them out. Let's go.
Yep. I think you'll have a good turnout. Yeah, it's going to be a good show.
You let me know how things go.
I will.
I'll be here. So let me
Yep.
know how things are going. And, Mike could let you grab the microphone and go on down and do some interviews. I think that'd be fun.
I'm going to have to take my pit pass over to Prairie Band, see if I could win some money, huh?
I don't.
10-4. That's the good deal.
All the years I've been going over there, and I don't think I've ever won any money out of that place. So I know they got some to give away.
Yeah, I always leave mine there.
Somebody's been getting it. It sure hadn't been me.
I know it.
I can't. I'm no good at gambling.
I hate
me
it.
neither.
I race, so I don't.
Every
get
time
it.
I put a 20 in that machine, I'm thinking a tire or something,
I know.
Like Brian says, he says you walk into a casino and it's like a whole bunch of banks.
Right.
You put your money in and they keep it for you.
Yeah. I've not yet got mine back.
You feed them machines. That's it.
Mike, thanks a lot for coming over. Wish you tremendous success this year. Like I said, I'll be able to run a couple of the late model shows, the rest of them for sure. Brandon, good luck. Looking forward to you getting the win this year. And I know you're close. You'll get one.
You were like a
Yep,
fender
thank you.
away, huh?
Fender away, just a
fender.
fender away. Just a little bobble in 3 and 4.
Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it. For Bobby Potts saying so long. We'll see you here in probably a couple weeks. Am I correct, Dave? And big thanks to Dave. He's over there. I think he's sleeping.
Hi, Dave.
Does a good job putting this together for us. So
Thank you, Dave.
Yep. Thanks, Dave.
appreciate it. See you in a couple of weeks.
All right, bye.
All right. Thanks.